Hey guys, it's Gretchen and welcome back to my channel. Alright, so today's video is a piercing video, go figure. And it is one that I wasn't planning on making yet just because this topic is still new-ish. But I've been getting a lot of questions about it, whether or not it's real or if I got it done. But as you can tell from the title of this video, today I'm going to be talking all about my PHILTRUM, otherwise known as MEDUSA piercing, because I just keep getting asked about it. I actually was going to wait probably 3 more weeks until I changed the jewelry out from the initial jewelry to the non-initial jewelry, but because of all the questions that I've been getting recently for it, I figured I'd go ahead and do it now. So to answer the top question that I keep getting, did I get my PHILTRUM pierced? I'd say so. Yes, I did get my PHILTRUM, also known as MEDUSA, pierced. I got it done Saturday, October 5th. I went to the place that I usually go for all of my piercings. I went to the person who does most of my piercings, not all of them, but most of them. I will say it was actually a spur of the moment decision. I wasn't planning to get it done that day, but my mom had come up to visit. She was supposed to have a tattoo appointment that day. Unfortunately, her tattoo artist had to postpone because she was feeling very sick. So my mom was already up here and I was like, well, let's not waste this day. Let's go do something. And she was like, well, I was in the mindset for a tattoo. Let's go get a piercing instead. So that's what we did. That being said, I got my PHILTRUM pierced and my mom ended up getting her other nostril pierced. So she has both nostrils pierced just like I do. I'm such a bad influence on my mom. It's kind of funny. It used to be that when my mom and I went to get piercings, I would make her go first just so I could kind of like gauge her reaction. But that was back when we were getting like the same piercing at the same time. But since she wasn't getting her lip pierced and I was like, I'm gonna just go first because otherwise I might chicken out like I've done for the past 2-3 years. So I ended up going first. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least painful, 10 being the most painful, I would give this probably a 4. And the reason why I'm giving it a 4 is mostly because it was just an uncomfortable place. And I feel like that's where a lot of my like pain ratings for my piercings come from, is just the uncomfortableness of it. And what I mean by that is you don't think about it, but your mouth is a very small space. And so when someone's got both of their hands in there trying to finagle a needle through it, it gets a little crowded and gets a little uncomfortable. So no, I don't have actual footage of me getting the piercing done. Some places are okay with it, some places are not. My piercer prefers there to be no cameras in the room when being pierced. It's just her preference and I'm going to abide by that because I love her dearly and I don't want to piss anyone off. So no, I don't have any actual footage of it being done. So if you're looking for that, sorry. None of my piercing videos have ever had footage of me getting something done. So the whole process, when I do these all about my blah 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 piercing videos, I talk about the process. This one will be no different. The first thing that, I don't know, I found interesting was the fact that my piercer did not use a clamp on the site. Now, before anyone goes like,
oh my god, that's so unprofessional. They obviously didn't know what they were doing. Why would you go to someone like that? That's terrible practice, yada yada yada.
No, it's not terrible practice and it's not unprofessional. Clamps are used as a personal preference by the piercer. My piercer prefers not to use them because she feels like they are more of a hindrance than anything. Now, she may use them for certain piercings just because she feels like she may have more control over the actual act of the piercing, but for something like this, she felt it was completely unnecessary and was more of a hindrance than anything. So before anyone gets in here and says that it's unprofessional, you can just kindly leave. Don't need that negativity here. So now that that's out of the way, the first thing that was necessary was for me to rinse my mouth out. So I just used some kind of like a mouthwash, rinsed out my mouth so that any kind of bacteria or anything that was on the inside of my lip or even just in my mouth in general was wiped away clean. I spit it back out. Then following that, my piercer cleaned off the area where the piercing would take place. As you all can tell, I wear makeup. I like to wear makeup. You can't really pierce through makeup because that's nasty. That's unhygienic. So we had to clean off the area. Following the rinsing of the mouth, the cleaning of the lip, my piercer. Went in with one of those pens that, you know, not a Sharpie. I don't quite know what the pens are, but she went in with one of those pens that piercers use and made a mark on my lip. She wiped away the first one because she wasn't quite happy with the placement. And then she made a second one. We looked in the mirror. We both agreed that that was a good placement. She was saying that she didn't want it too low on my lip. Once she had made a mark on the outside of my lip, she flipped my lip up and made a mark on the inside of my lip. Just kind of have like, all right, this is where these dots match up with one another. They line up. That's good. You don't want to just like go in blind. Once she had made the mark, she made me look all sorts of directions. She made me look straight ahead. She made me look up. She made me look to the sides. Just slight tilts and everything, just to make sure that it looked right at all angles. After that, she had me lie down. You know, some people make you lie down for a piercing, some people make you sit up. A lot of people talk about how they lie down for their septum piercing. I was sitting up for mine. That's another personal preference based on the piercer. So my piercer preferred me to lie down, which I did. At that point, she pulled my lip up so that she could get a better visual. This is another one where you can either pierce it going down or going up. Personal preference on the piercer. My piercer went from the inside out. That was my personal preference, just because when I think about it, I would be terrified, and I know piercers are professionals, but I'd be terrified of like going that way and like it accidentally getting this, even though I know piercers are professionals and they are aware of your other lip. I guess the same could be said for going this way, because then it could possibly hit your nose. But whatever. That was her personal preference. Also ended up being mine, so it's good. My piercer is also very good about always telling me right before she does it, you know, does the whole breathe in and breathe out, and then that's when the actual act happens. This wasn't any different. She was like, all right, breathe in for me. So I took a deep breath in, and she's like, all right, let it out. And when I let it out, like the second I started letting it out, she put it through. Not a problem. I will say there was a bit of pinching, which is where the uncomfortableness comes in for my pain rating of a 4. You don't realize just how thick of flesh your lip actually is. Some people's lips are fleshier and thicker than others. The uncomfortableness came from making sure that it got through all the layers. It was fun. It ended up okay. The only part was like right when it entered that fleshier area underneath. For some reason, that was a little bit of a pinch for me, but not bad. And then once it popped through, it was perfectly fine. I always say that the worst part is actually feeding the jewelry through. No different for this piercing. Actually, you know, once you have the needle through your lip, you get the labret and feed it through. That was uncomfortable, but that's uncomfortable for every single one that I've ever gotten. After that, she put the little stone in. It was a labret stud, 3/8 of an inch. She put a little gem on it. I'll get to more about jewelry in a second. And that's still the current jewelry I have in. I still have the initial jewelry in. I am not at the point yet where I can change it out, unfortunately. So how has the healing process been so far? Like I said, I got this done October 5th, so it hasn't even been a month yet. The healing process has been fine. Like, it's definitely different than getting a cartilage piercing, because as most of you know with piercings, cartilage piercings are a real pill to heal. Whereas a fleshier one, not so much. This one's been kind of a breeze. Yes, every so often I'll see like a little bit of whitish liquid come out, but it's not bad. There are no bumps. I will say the swelling has been like in waves. Some days it's not swollen at all. Some days it's so swollen, I'm like, why do I only have 3/8 of an inch labret stud in? Feel like it should be more. So for the first few days, it was definitely swollen. I looked like I had lip filler done, but it wasn't painful. Like I said, at times the length of the bar seemed completely unnecessary, and then at other times it was completely necessary. One thing that I have noticed because of the extra length of the bar is that it does sometimes get caught on my teeth, or even like on my gums, especially if I end up talking too much. Like if I talk a lot, for some reason it like works the bar down and it will get caught on my teeth, or even right here on my gums. Very painful, but I notice it quickly enough that it doesn't rip or anything like that. Eating hasn't been a problem, drinking hasn't been a problem. One thing that people remark on, kissing hasn't been a problem. I've been able to kiss my boyfriend just fine, thank you. You do need to be cautious of what you eat and what you drink and how much you're making out with someone, because it is a lip piercing, it is still healing. You could be transferring germs from some other source into your mouth, not just your own germs. So you need to be, you know, conscious of that if you decide to get yours done, or any lip piercing done for that matter. There are certain foods and liquids that you need to avoid for like the first week or so, alcohol being one of them. It's just too harsh on your newly pierced site. So as for jewelry, my initial jewelry is a 3/8 of an inch labret stud, however you want to pronounce it. I always say labret because it makes me feel fancier for some reason, but it could be labret, your personal preference. It is 3/8 of an inch. It is incredibly long, but it has to be to account for swelling. The gem is 3mm gem. I was gonna do a 2.5 at first, but my piercer was saying, you know, there is a possibility that if the gem is too small, it can actually come through like the piercing hole. We don't want that. We don't want to wake up with it stuck in there, or worse, in my mouth, rolling around. We don't need that. So I went for the 3mm. She would not recommend going anything below a 2.5. I mean, they do make a 2mm gem, but she was like, she wouldn't recommend that for any piercing because sometimes that gem is smaller than the piercing hole itself. After about, I don't know, I think roughly 6 weeks, which is what I'm planning for, you can change out your initial jewelry and go to a more standard size jewelry, which I cannot wait for. So for me, I plan to swap out my initial jewelry around November 16th. That puts me at the 6-week mark. I feel like that's a pretty good time. I feel like it'll probably be under control by then. The swelling will have subsided for the most part. And so at that time, I will go from the initial jewelry to the more standard jewelry for a PHILTRUM piercing, which is 5/16 of an inch labret stud. I can do a bigger gem if I want. I might be able to do a smaller one if I want at that point, but I'm pretty happy with the 3mm one. It's nice and small, it's dainty. A lot of people don't notice it until I point it out, so I'm happy with that. Typically, these types of piercings take roughly 2 to 3 months to heal, but you can change it out at that 6-week mark, even though that's not a full 2 months at that time. But the piercing does take 2 to 3 months to heal, which is so much better than a cartilage piercing, which can take like 6 months to a year to heal. So I will gladly take 2 to 3 months instead. Like I said, this piercing isn't even a month old yet. I was gonna wait on making this video, but so many of you had questions about it and whether or not I had it done. Yes, I've had it done. I will give you a close-up of what it looks like so that you can kind of see the bar close up as well as see what it looks like underneath, just so you can kind of get an idea. If you have any questions regarding my experience or how, you know, what I've dealt with so far, leave them in the comments below. If you yourself have your PHILTRUM/MEDUSA done, leave in the comments below anything that you have experienced having that piercing. Like, what was your experience like? What was the pain like for you? How it's been for you ever since? What your kind of favorite stone or what your favorite jewelry to have in it is, you know, leave them in the comments below. I may do an update video once I do get the initial jewelry swapped out, maybe more so at the 3-month mark, be like, hey, has it healed or not? This is what it looks like now, blah, 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 things of that nature. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big ol' thumbs up. Going down there and hit that subscribe button, wherever it may be, because I don't know. Even though I do, this is just my shtick now. Also hit that notification bell in case you want to know when I upload, and in case YouTube wants to let you know when I upload, because I would really appreciate it. And until next time, bye guys.